Hi everyone, I'm Sarah of Rich Textures Crochet and welcome to week 3 of the Erie Waters Crochet Along. Now this week we are going to be working on this beautiful textured square which features single crochet stitches and puff stitches. Now this has to be one of my favorite squares in the blanket just because of this gorgeous texture, and puff stitches are kind of fun to make, and I hope after this video and after you've done a few yourself you'll feel the same way about them. They just have a great texture, a great feel to them. For this square, these puff stitches remind me of the stones and rocks that are found on many of the beaches along Lake Erie, especially the more natural ones. The rocks are very smooth, they range in sizes from small to large, and for me this stitch captures it very, very well. So today, crochet along with me and we will work on this beautiful textured square. For this project, you are going to need a bit of yarn. I'm using a worsted weight yarn, a Caron Simply Soft. You will need a 5mm crochet hook, and then a yarn needle and a pair of scissors to finish off your work. For a complete list of the materials for this project, as well as the instructions, written instructions for week 1 and 2 and 3 of this crochet along for the Erie Waters Throw, you can find them for free on my blog at richtexturescrochet.com. They will also be linked in the video notes for this tutorial. So grab your hook and yarn and let's get started. Okay, so for the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your worsted weight yarn and your 5mm crochet hook, and you're going to start by making a slip knot. In this tutorial, I'm going to assume that you already have a basic understanding of crochet stitches and how to make your chain stitches, your slip knot, and your single crochet. I will demonstrate how to make the puff stitch in this tutorial. The first thing the pattern asks us to do is to chain 42 chains. 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and then 41 and 42. Then for row 1, you are going to single crochet in the second chain from hook, and then in each chain stitch across. So you will have a total of 41 stitches. So single crochet in the second chain. There's our first chain and our second chain, single crochet, and then in each chain all the way across. This will give us a nice foundation row of single crochet stitches that we can work into. coming to our last chain, one final single crochet. So you will now have a row of single crochet stitches. Row 2, what you're going to do is you're going to chain 1 and turn, or turn and chain 1. And you're going to start by placing a single crochet in the first 4 stitches. So this is our first stitch. We're going to single crochet in that first stitch, and then in the next 3, 1, 2, and 3. So you will have a total of 4 single crochet stitches at the beginning of this row. Then you're going to make your puff stitch. For your puff stitch, you're going to be working in the next single crochet right here, and you're going to simply yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch. I'm working through both loops. You're going to draw up a loop, so you'll have 3 loops on your hook. And you're going to repeat that 3 more times. Yarn over, insert your hook in the same stitch, yarn over and pull through another loop. You will now have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert your hook in the same stitch, draw up a loop. You will now have 7 stitches. And one more time, yarn over, insert your hook in the same stitch, pull up a loop, and you will now have 9 loops on your hook. Then you're going to yarn over one more time, and you are going to draw that yarn through all the 9 loops on your hook and pull through. And that is the puff stitch. Then you're going to work 3 single crochet, 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So in the next stitch, single crochet, 1, another single crochet, 2, and 1 more, or 3. And I'm going to pause and turn it around just so you can see what happened there. This is the back of your work, and you can barely see that puff stitch, which is right in there. But when you turn your work over, you have this great textured kind of bobble puff stitch. Okay. So you've worked 3 more single crochet. You're going to do another puff stitch. So again, yarn over, working in the next stitch, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook in that same stitch, yarn over, pull through, 5 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook in the same stitch one more time, yarn over and pull through, you have 7, and then one more time, yarn over, insert your hook in the same stitch, yarn over, pull through. So you will have yarned over and inserted your hook in that same stitch a total of 4 times. Okay, so you'll have drawn up a loop 4 times. Then you're going to yarn over, and you're going to draw that yarn through all 9 loops on your hook, just like that. And then you're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So you are going to repeat that all the way across. So puff stitch, 3 single crochets, and then puff stitch. 3 single crochets and then puff stitch. So there's 3 single crochets, another puff stitch. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yarn over and draw through all the loops on my hook. then single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Another puff stitch. Yarn over once, 2, 3, and 4. Yarn over, pull through all the loops on my hook. Single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Then a puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yarn over, pull through all the loops on my hook. Single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Then a puff stitch. Yarn over and pull through. 3 single crochets. Puff stitch. Yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook. 3 single crochets. And another puff stitch. 3 single crochets. Oh, sorry. 3 single crochets and then a puff stitch. Now when you come to your last 4 single crochets, you're simply going to single crochet in the last 4 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, and then 1 single crochet in your last stitch. 4. Okay. So that is the back of your work. Again, you don't really see the puff stitches there, but when you turn it over, you see this great texture here. So if you are following the dimensions of the square that I've just done, you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 puff stitches in a row on this block. Okay? So once you come to the end, what you're going to do is you're going to turn and chain 1, and you are then going to simply single crochet in each stitch across once more. So just single crochet in each stitch. With this row, just be sure that you don't skip any of the single crochets. Sometimes these stitches right before or right after the puff stitches are a little bit smaller, they're a little bit tighter. So just make sure that you do not miss that stitch. You want to have 41 stitches again at the end of your row. And again, this single crochet row just helps us get back to the beginning so that our puff stitches will always be on the proper side. They'll always be on the right side of your work. Here we are, almost all the way back. Always be sure to put that final stitch into that. Your single crochet into the final stitch. There we go. And then again, you're going to chain 1 and turn. So for row 2, we single crocheted 4, and then we did our puff stitch. That was row 2. So row 3, then we just did a row of single crochets across. I guess I have it upside down here. Now for row 4, we are going to start by only single crocheting 2 stitches. So 1 single crochet in the first 2 stitches. There's 1 and there's 2. And then we are going to do our puff stitch. So run over, insert your hook in the next stitch. Do that 4 times. Yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook. And then you're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So it's always going to be, except for at your ends of the rows, it's always going to be puff stitch, single crochet 3 in the next 3 stitches. So because we only did 2 single crochets at the beginning of the row instead of 4, you can see that we are now staggering our puff stitches. So they're not going to be straight in line with one another. They're kind of going to go on a diagonal. Okay, so I've done my 3 single crochets. I'm going to do another puff stitch. Three single crochets and a puff stitch. And 3 single crochets, puff stitch, three single crochets, puff stitch, and you'll notice as you're working that all of your puff stitches should be going to the same side. Should be facing or gathering out away from you, if that makes sense. If because of the direction or the way that you crochet your puff stitches are coming towards you, that's fine as well. Just make sure that they're always on the same side of your fabric. Some people may just have a different technique than I do, and that's okay. And one more puff stitch. And then I've come to the last 2 single crochets in this row, so our last 2 stitches, so I'm going to single crochet, 1 single crochet in each of them. So I had 2 single crochets at the beginning and 2 single crochets at the end. Okay, then again you're going to chain 1 and turn, and then if you take a look, you can see how these puff stitches are nicely alternating. Okay, they're being staggered there, and then eventually you'll see them kind of going up on the diagonal. It makes it really easy if you step back and take a look at your work after each time you do the puff stitches. It makes it easy to see if you've perhaps either missed a stitch or added a stitch because you'll see your puffs starting to line up, and you don't want them to line up. You always want them to be going back and forth. Okay, so then once you've done row 4, you single crochet 2 in the first 2 stitches, and then your puff stitch, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and you're just going to single crochet in each stitch all the way back. Again, you'll have 41 stitches all the way across, and that's going to take you back to the beginning of your row. Okay, I'll just show you. You can see it really well on the other completed square I have. Your puff stitches, they're kind of going up on this diagonal here. That is what you want when you are working on your piece. You are going to do a total of 20 rows of puff stitches. So if you count your puff stitches up here, you're going to go starting at the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So you're going to have 20 rows of these puff stitches by the time you are done your square, or work them until the measurements of your square have been met. My squares are about 11 inches by 9.5 inches. Yours might be slightly smaller or slightly bigger. The important thing is that your squares are all the same size. Now, if you want to modify this square to make a larger or smaller blanket, or depending on the type of yarn you're using, the multiples you're going to need is any odd number of stitches. So this is for your foundation chain. Any odd number of stitches plus 1. Okay, that will be your starting chain for your blanket to make it any size. So go ahead and work on that. You want 20 rows of these puff stitches, okay, and meet me back here when you're done, and we will go over how to do the edging together. Okay, so once you have completed your square to the measurements or according to the pattern, you're going to fasten off your work, and you're going to weave in your ends. And then you're going to start and work the edging. And the edging for these squares, it's the same on each one. And it's simply a single crochet all the way around. Now what you're going to do is you're going to, once you've fastened off and woven in your ends, you're going to take your yarn and you're going to join your yarn with your right side of your work facing you in the top right hand corner of your work. And you're going to join your yarn with a slip stitch. Then you're simply going to single crochet in each of the stitches across the top, all the way to your last stitch, at which point in that corner you're going to single crochet 3 stitches in each corner. So you are single crocheting in each stitch across. And by doing a single crochet edge on each square, it just makes it easier for joining when we come to the joining part of our squares at the very end. It just gives you kind of some nice even rows and easy places to put your crochet hook as you join. Okay, so you're going to come all the way across to the other side. And once you reach that final stitch, you are going to place, so that stitch in the corner, you're going to place 3 single crochets in the same stitch. In each corner you will work 3 single crochets, and what that does is it just kind of brings your corner, your stitches all the way around to the side, and then you're going to begin working along the side. Now I had a question asked if I had any tips as far as making sure that your single crochet stitches are placed evenly along these edges that aren't quite clearly marked. So if you're having trouble making your stitches pan out evenly, one of the things I would recommend doing is taking a stitch marker, such as this one here, or it can be a paper clip, it can be a piece of yarn, just something that contrasts with what you're using. And then you're going to roughly mark the center of that edge. Okay? Then you know you're going to want to work half of your stitches required between these two markers, and then another half. So for me, I'm going to be working 35 stitches evenly across. So I know that I'm going to want 17 stitches from here to here. I'm going to want my 18th on the stitch marker itself, and then I'm going to want another 17 single crochet stitches from here to here, and then work my corner stitch. Okay, so that's just one of the things that I would recommend doing if you're having trouble. Now in the pattern I say to single crochet 35 stitches evenly across this end. Now again, if your square is a different size than mine, you might have a different number of single crochet stitches along this edge. Or even along the top edge. That's okay. What is important is that in all of your squares you are consistent. So you always do the 35 along here if that's what you're working, or 37, 39, whatever it may be. Just the important thing is that you are consistent when it comes to the number of stitches that you have along that edge. Okay, so I'm going to simply work 35 single crochet stitches according to what I've written in the pattern. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So now I'm halfway there. There's my 18th stitch, and I can take out this stitch marker. I'm going to work another 17. There's 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. Then I'm back here at my corner, and I'm going to work 3 single crochet stitches into that corner stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Turn my work, and then I'm going to single crochet again in each stitch all the way across. This edge is worked in rounds. There's no turning your work. You're always going in the same direction. Okay. And then I'm coming up on my corner stitch once again. I'm going to work 3 single crochets into my corner, which will then allow me to turn my work. Now again, I'm working along this funny edge, so what I want to do is I want to find the center. Another way I can find the center is count down 10 because I have 20 rows of puff stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I know my center is right here in between row 10 and 11 of the puffs. And there's my center. And then again, I'm going to work 17 stitches, for a total of 35. So 17 plus 1, another 17. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. I'm going to work my 18th stitch right here in the middle and take out my stitch marker. And then continue on. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 4, this is 30, and then because this is my last side that I'm working on, I've come back up to the top here, and I'm going to actually just single crochet 2 stitches in that final corner stitch, and then I'm going to join in the first stitch with a slip knot, and then I kind of like to just do a few more slip stitches to get my yarn around the corner and make my corner a little bit more even. Then you will simply fasten off, weave in your ends, and congratulations, you have finished the first square of week 3 of the Erie Waters Crochet Along. So thank you so much for joining me on this tutorial. Once again, please visit richtexturescrochet.com where you'll find the full written pattern for this square and the other squares in the tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and have fun. I'll see you soon. Happy crocheting. Bye.